too darn savvy today. Who's been in the business longer than, say, 15 or 20 years in the actual real estate business? Can anybody go that far with me? No? How about 10 years? No? So just me. Sean at 10. Yeah, you've been in a while, right? Back in those days, I don't know if it was that far, but back when I started, what technology did we have in like the late 80s, early 90s? I started in the late 80s. What technology did we have? A book. We had a book. There was no technology, right? But there was an amazing thing that we did have. We had a book and we had a fax machine. The MLS was just starting to kind of come into play with the this whole modem thing. You had to put it into a cradle. Needless to say, what did we have? We had the book, but that was control of the inventory. We controlled it. If you wanted to see a house, you couldn't go to Google and look it up. You couldn't go to Realtor.com. It didn't exist. So if you wanted to see a house, you had to come see me. Today, do consumers need us to find houses? No, they need us for a lot of things. Not to say they don't need us. They need us for a lot. But unfortunately, they have access to blogs, Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia. And a matter of fact, what they're doing is, because of mobile devices, which we're going to talk about today, we'll talk about mobile, we'll talk about what consumers are doing. They can find the house, look at pictures of the house, virtual tour of the house, Google it, map it, drive to it, sit in front of it, and then call you with an MLS number because they want to see it now. And some of you may have gotten those phone calls. Hey, can you look up MLS number, 253-179? And we're like, what? They know about the house, they know the bedrooms. Matter of fact, embarrassingly enough, a true story, sometimes we actually are so behind the eight ball because we're not prepared for it yet. We had an agent that had a phone call from a client from the house saying, I want to know how deep the pool is in the backyard. Now, keep in mind, this came from an IDX website. You guys know what IDX is? It's another person's listing, but it's on your website. So she says, well, let me look it up. And she's looking it up in the MLS. And she says, well, sir, unfortunately, there is no pool at that house. And he's going, no, there's a pool in the back. I want to know how deep it is. Is it an 8-footer or is it a short foot? She's like, there is no pool. She's looking at the MLS. The realtor who entered it didn't put a pool. Now the customer's thinking, all right, I'm sorry. All right, are you being an idiot? I'm looking at a pool. He's already at the house. She's on the MLS looking up the other agent's information. And unfortunately, does that make her look good? It's embarrassing, but he already knew how to get there, saw the pictures, drove to it, and now she's fighting with the information that another realtor put in. That's a shame because she, right off the block, didn't look good at all, and it wasn't her fault. But unfortunately, they have that much information. So we've got to know how to adapt it. So this morning we're talking about some mobile stuff. We'll talk about new generational stuff. We'll talk about our digital marketing strategy. Just for a show of hands, how many are using e-listings? Okay, and there's a few of you got it mastered maybe, but if there are a few new things, we'll throw them at you. My job is to show you how to sell it. We'll talk about some promo shop, but then we'll talk about stuff outside the box, like how to use screen capture software like Jing. I'll show you a lot of different ideas because today in the room we have some savvier ones here, and we've got some not so savvy ones, and that's okay, because my job is only to give you 2 or 3 good ideas today. That's all you're going to get. By 2 o'clock, you might not even hear the words out of my mouth. You might be just totally full over the top, and that's okay. I'm not trying here to overwhelm you, but if I sat here and talked about one topic for 6 hours, you'll be out of here by lunch. I can't keep your attention. So I've got to try and find you ways that you go, ooh, that's a really good thing for me to do. I can do that. So if it's something that's a little bit high level, just understand it and hear it, just so you know you can migrate to it. If it's a little tip that you never knew you could do with one of the products we have, that could be a little aha moment going, man, if I could show a customer how that works, it makes all the difference in the world. So I've got to show you ways to apply this stuff. So I always like to kick off with my little video. I got a couple of them, but first is the new generation one, which I was sharing earlier today with somebody.
I'm in a timeout because apparently riding the dog like it's a small horse is frowned upon in this establishment. Luckily though, I can conceal this bad boy underneath my blanket just so I can get on E-Trade, check my investment portfolio, research stocks. Wait, why you take? Oh, I see. Solitary. Just a man and his thoughts and a smartphone with an E-Trade app. Nobody knows.
So
E-Trade, investing unleashed.
We've got this little generation, that's Generation Y, that are very savvy. I mean, I don't know about you, but anybody have teenagers or kids nowadays with their mobile devices and their iPod touches, and they're amazing, right? Now, that's not saying our kids are buying houses, but don't we have 20 and 30 and 40-something-year-olds that have gotten really darn savvy? And sometimes, and this is a challenge you're going to hear me say a couple times today, the big challenge is in the last 10 years, consumers have always had, like they always got a complaint against us. They always got, what's the one major issue you have with realtors? And for the last 10, it's always been, I haven't heard enough from my real estate agent, or there's lack of feedback, not enough communication from us. That's been their biggest complaint they can gripe about. This past year, of all the studies NAR does, hard to hear it, is they feel, consumers feel, that they are smarter and more educated sometimes about our product than us. That's because they have the time and the manpower to do the research and everything else. So they've got access to the web and the blogs and Realtor.com. They're doing all their research before they even call us. So they feel they are savvier than us at some points. And unfortunately, in some cases, they're true. You know, we don't even know they're out there looking yet before they call us. So we've got to figure out, how do we compete with that? We're almost competitors to our consumers. How do we have information? So today, part of what we're going to talk about is we need to have, I don't care if you're from Maine, if you're on the rural parts of anywhere, we got to have data on demand wherever you stand. It's kind of my whole theme, it's a little rhyme. What that means is, if you're out with clients right now, and they said to you, hey, I'd like to see 2 or 3 more homes, and they show them to you which ones they want to see, are most of us capable of taking them directly and looking up that information right there, right now? How do you feel about that? Thoughts? Because most of us, will probably say, well, I got to go back and check the MLS and see if we need, see if we need availability. And I don't know how you guys, do you guys have showing services, or how do you guys show homes up here? Can you go direct to the lockbox? What's the rules up in different markets up here?
AccuShow.
AccuShow, so you can make a phone call for it? Yes? Do you have lockboxes too? Do you need to check if there's a lockbox or not? So what if somebody said to you, can you show me 2 or 3 more homes, and they showed you 2 or 3, like on their phone or had them out on the print sheet? Are you capable of looking that information up right there, right then, and going?
On the MLS, on your phone?
So how are you going to do it? MLS, phone, do something. They want to see houses right now. I need to see 2 more. Can you show them to me? And that's kind of a part that freaks you out a little bit, doesn't it? Like, they want it now. Here's the problem. If you say, well, let me go back to the office and check on things and see how this works, you go back and I'll call you tonight and we'll check them out tomorrow. Where do you think they go? Right to the house or right to the phone, right on the phone. And unfortunately, you could spend weekend after weekend working with buyers and you get frustrated, and all of a sudden you're going to go check on some stuff. They go directly to the property because they can find it, and they just want to see just that one. And unfortunately, the other agent shows it, and of course that's the one they're going to like. And we're not prepared for that. So we've got this big shift of all this information. So we're going to talk about these tablets today, smartphones a little bit today. How many of you have at least a smartphone? What smartphones are we using? What do we have in the room today? What do you guys have? You're an iPhoner? BlackBerry? Who's the Black? What do you have? G2, which is Android. Okay. BlackBerry. BlackBerry iPhones. We're talking about BlackBerry today too a little bit. Love BlackBerry. We got some challenges with BlackBerry world. I won't beat you up too bad. I'm only going to be honest. I'm here to help you. So let's talk about some of the things we're going to go through today, because I really want to make sure I either make an impact or I get you over the hump of some of this stuff. So, not that I want to talk about me much, I just want to share with you that some of this technology has evolved over the years when I started in the 80s. And I had about a 10-year stream of internet world when the internet was. I went and spent time with Verizon Wireless and all those companies. So my wireless information is pretty strong and my internet information is pretty strong. When I got back to real estate, I had no customers again. You start over. And for some of you, sometimes feeling like starting from scratch is a tough thing. And you have to learn how to jumpstart your business. And a lot of the tools that I share with you today are ways that we help jumpstart our business. So my big concern is this. If you're using any technology, if it's not helping you generate any more transactions or making you more productive, even if it's free, don't use it. You know, like when I do my social media course and I talk about Twitter and I talk about LinkedIn, and although I can explain to you Twitter and I can show you how to use it, if you still say at the end of that session, hey listen, I understand it better, but it's not for me, or I'm going to try it. No. If you're not going to do it the right way, put full bore 100% into it, go spend your time on something more productive. Don't just dabble, because every time when I start my social media course, I ask the question, how many have a LinkedIn, a Twitter account, and a Facebook account? They all put their hands up. Then I go, how many are using all 3 of them effectively? Well, I'm trying this Twitter thing. Stop trying. We only got so much time in a day. And if we can't sell real estate, we have to focus on how to get more transactions. And the big challenge we find when it comes to the social media side of things is people are spending hours and hours and hours of time trying and learning, but they're not selling homes. You know, I have women and people, a guy and a woman, both of them, have admitted to me that they spend 3 to 4 hours a day on a blog. Okay, that's not a terrible thing, but how many homes have you sold?